Good evening. The sights and sounds of Pride can be seen and felt throughout the city of Toronto this weekend, but nowhere, and I mean nowhere, is as exciting as Church Street is right now. Take a look around this stretch. The stretch of Church has been completely shut down for the festivities. Many people here enjoying many of the events taking place this evening, from walking the streets, of course, dancing, and enjoying a beverage out here on the patio and out on the streets. But tomorrow is the big parade, and that's a much anticipated event that will bring out thousands. And though there's much to celebrate about, this year's parade will be taking a somber tone.
Although Pride is a celebration, we need to have a space to protest and to talk about all the things that we still need to do. We still have a really long way to go.
The politically rooted Dyke March took over Toronto streets today, celebrating the strength, power, and diversity of a community that is still fighting for equality. It's what Pride Toronto is all about, and you can see that theme throughout the weekend.
I think that we all feel it's necessary to show the country and the world that we are strong, we are not going anywhere, and we will continue to fight for our rights and our equity.
From the floats to the colorful theme and the roaring crowds on Toronto streets, the Pride Parade is always the pinnacle of the month-long celebration. But it's not to be overshadowed by the resiliency and strength of the community.
It's particularly important because we have suffered a few setbacks.
Marred by murders and disappearances, the Church and Wellesley community has been hit with unimaginable grief that has changed the tone of this year's Pride celebrations. The death of Alora Wells, a transgender woman who had been missing since last summer, sent chills throughout the community, along with the gruesome case of an alleged serial killer who has been charged in the deaths of several men who frequented the gay village.
It's still a very emotional thing to recognize that we can still be so vulnerable and have to keep fighting for that. And it's always important to remember that Pride started as a protest.
I think as a community, we feel like we want to talk about what it means to ensure that we are kept safe and that we are not the targets of violence. This year at this parade, this is what's going to form the sort of foundation of what we want to talk to the world about.
Safety continues to be a priority at big events like the Pride Parade, with TTC buses and city vehicles used as barriers throughout the march routes. And with hate crimes continuing to target the LGBTQ+ community, there's also a need for Pride Toronto to continue advocating for protection.
This community deserves the rights and protections of the rest of Canada, and so it's been particularly heartfelt for us this year, because not only has there been the combination of these alleged serial murders, but then there's also the fact that just generally the sort of political winds aren't in our favor at the moment. That is actually manifesting itself in pure violence.
For the first year ever, Pride Toronto has launched an app designed to address some of the safety concerns.
That will give people notifications where you can actually report your own position, in the hope that you're able to sort of ensure that you're never, you might be with somebody, but you are not isolated.
And if you're coming downtown for tomorrow's parade, it starts at 2 p.m. at the corner of Church and Bloor, heads west on Bloor Street, south on Yonge, and east on Dundas Street to Victoria, ending at Yonge Dundas Square at 7 p.m. There are lots of road closures during the Pride festivities, so log on to our website, citynews.ca, for a complete list.